The chaos in Lebanon and the bombing of Beirut comes at a time when the US envoy Amos Hochstein has been actively working to try and effect a ceasefire, visiting both Lebanon and Israel this week. Progress has been reported after meetings with both sides, both Lebanese officials and the Israeli high command, including Netanyahu. But Israel wants wants the option, even with a ceasefire, to be able to bomb with impunity if it feels it has to. The conflict has devastating effects on the local Lebanese population, with 3,500 people killed, 15,000 people wounded since October, and 1.2 million people displaced. Nearly 300 health workers and patients have been killed. And the airstrikes yesterday killed 11 people, injured 63 people, destroyed an 8-story residential building in the Basta neighborhood of Beirut. The 4 a.m. attack marks the 4th strike on central Beirut this week. And this conflict seems, rather than to be drawing to a close, it seems to be escalating. And there is diplomatic urgency, as there's humanitarian urgency, with widespread agreement that the conflict has caused too much suffering. The Israelis say that the strikes are necessary because they are against Hezbollah's command centers and infrastructure, which is embedded in civilian areas. But they also represent an illegal, aggressive attack inside Lebanon's country, a contravention of Lebanese sovereignty. They're causing unnecessary civilian casualties in densely populated areas. So while one might blame Hezbollah for pitching themselves there, it doesn't justify that level of invasion. And an immediate ceasefire is absolutely necessary. There are differences, I think, between the Hamas situation in Gaza and the Hezbollah situation in Lebanon. And Israel would say that any ceasefire must ensure that Hezbollah cannot rebuild its military positions or threaten Israeli civilians north of in the north of Israel. But I don't see that's something that can be guaranteed by Lebanon or by any other power in the region. Israel has poked the beehive, and it would say that it's taken precautions to minimize civilian casualties, but just one casualty is too many, and Israeli strikes have caused disproportionate civilian suffering. And, Israel needs to invest in rebuilding. It needs to absolutely deal with reparations. And it needs to work on how to establish and maintain peace in the region, because a ceasefire is not peace. And people marching down the street calling for a ceasefire are calling for a pause while one side or the other rearms. That isn't peace. That isn't peace. That's an opportunity for this thing to be prolonged. Ceasefires without a peace plan are dangerous. But a government that is engaged in a war that has no end goal, that has no peace plan in sight, is equally dangerous. I think there's a lot to be done.